Hey guys, we are going to go over one of our multiplication strategies today, and that is a 2 by 2 digit area model. Now, area model is a strategy that can be used to solve many different types of multiplication problems. It can be, 1 by 1, a 2 by 1, 3 by 1, 4 by 1, and then today we're going to do a 2 by 2. So this is a really great strategy because it forces students to think about their understanding of place value. You know, in the traditional algorithm, we line the numbers up, we multiply each of the digits as their face value. For example, 2 times 7 and 4 times 7, and then 2 times 3 and 4 times 3. However, in the area model, the students are going to think about the number's true value. For instance, the 4 in 42 is actually worth 40, and the 2, of course, in the ones place is worth 2. And likewise, that 3 is worth 30, while the 7 is worth 7. So it just reinforces the understanding of place value. And we always start by taking those numbers and writing them in that expanded form. The next thing we're going to do when we're trying to solve with an area model is we're going to think about the concept of area. Area, of course, equals length times width. And it's the formula we use to find the space inside of a rectangle. But what's great about that is that we can really use that formula to solve any multiplication problem. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use that concept to multiply these larger numbers. So we're going to start by drawing a large rectangle. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our first number and we're going to write it along the top. Now, of course, multiplication is commutative, which means, you can, it doesn't matter which number you multiply first, and likewise, it really doesn't matter which number you put along the top of the side. However, you just want to make sure that the students keep those digits together, that they keep 40 and 2 together, they keep 30 and 7 together. I like to tell them they're on the same team. They've got to work together. The next thing I teach the students is to find the plus sign, and we're going to use those plus signs to help us draw or to take this large rectangle and break it into 4 smaller rectangles. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of each of these smaller rectangles and then use those products to find the area of the entire rectangle. So it's just a really great strategy also for visual learners. It helps the students keep up with what numbers they've multiplied and what they've multiplied them by. So what I tell students is how they know which numbers go in each box is to take 2 fingers and place them in the middle of the box. They'll then take those 2 fingers, pull one up and one to the left. And where they land is going to be the numbers that they are multiplying to find the area of that rectangle. Because this side is the length and this side is the width. So that's what we're going to multiply to find the total of that rectangle. So we're going to do 40 times 30. It also reinforces students' place value by multiplying across zeros. So we know that when we multiply by a number with zeros, our number is going to get larger by a place. In this instance, I've got 2 zeros, which means that whatever I'm multiplying is going to have at least 2 place values larger than what it did before. So I'm going to take those 2 zeros and I'm going to go ahead and move those to the product. And I like to tell students to go ahead and mark it out, because then they're left with a really basic fact, 4 times 3. So 4 times 3 we know is 12, and that makes our first product 1,200. We're then going to find the area of this second rectangle. In this case, we have 2 times 30. So likewise, because that 3 is worth 30, that 0 is going to make the product be worth 1 more place value. So we're going to move that down here, and rather than 2 times 3 being 6, we're going to put that 6 in front of the 0 and get a product of 60. Then we're going to go down here to the third rectangle. We're going to multiply 40 times 7, move the 0 to the product. 4 times 7 is 28, which gives us a product of 280. And finally, our last rectangle, where we're going to multiply 2 times 7, and that's going to give us a product of 14. So what we have done now is we have found the area of each of those 4 rectangles. We've multiplied each of those values by the other values. But the last thing we need to do is to find the area of this large rectangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these products, which we call partial products, and we're going to add them up. So students are very familiar with that language. So we're going to add the partial products. So this is just like very similar to the end of a standard algorithm problem. You're going to be still adding up those partial products. So we're going to take our products of 1,200, 280, 60, and 14. We're going to add those up. So we'll get 15, and then 5 and 1. So what we have found is that the product of 42 and 37 is 1,554. So that's how we solve a 2 by 2 digit area model.